National Health Editor of the Indian Express, Chuki Sarkar, founder and publisher of Juggernaut, Swati Chopra, the Editorial Director of Juggernaut, Malini Aisola, Senior Research Fellow at the George Institute for Global Health, Mr. Mahesh Zagade, former IAS officer and former head of the Maharashtra FDA, Mr. Vijay Ojala, whose relentless efforts brought justice to countless patients like himself. It is rare to be at the inaugural of a book which promises to shake the foundations of corporate accountability in healthcare. KAUNAIN Sharif has added new dimensions to his reputation as an intrepid journalist in Johnson & Johnson Files, the Indian Secrets of a Global Giant. This book is not just an expose. It is a call to conscience, a demand for transparency, and a testament to the power of investigative journalism in holding even the most formidable institutions to account. The opacity of corporate power has found its match in a reasoned discourse, backed by meticulous documentation of facts and research. Let me begin with a moment in corporate history, often cited as the gold standard in crisis management: the 1982 Tylenol murders in the United States. 7 people in the Chicago area died after consuming Tylenol capsules manufactured by Johnson & Johnson. An investigation found that the Tylenol bottles had been tampered with and the capsules were laced with cyanide. The CEO of Johnson & Johnson did something which shocked many. Instead of allowing the police to measure the scale of the tampering, James Brooke responded not by denial, not by delay, but by decisively issuing a global recall of over 32 million bottles of Tylenol, which were worth over $250 million US. This despite the fact that the contamination was almost certainly a case of external sabotage, not internal failure. James Burke's actions remain a case study in business schools across the world. In the face of fear and loss, he chose to center public trust and patient safety. He put people over profit. He demonstrated what it meant to steward a healthcare company with moral clarity. Today we gather to inaugurate a book that suggests a very different narrative, one in which corporate practice does not meet the Burke standard, one in which, as KAUNAIN Sharif compellingly argues, multinational giants operating in India have sometimes cloaked themselves in reputations earned elsewhere while violating the trust of Indian patients and regulators alike. KAUNAIN, along with the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, carried out painstaking research and gathered whistleblower testimonies and leaked documents. The result was a recall of ASR hip prosthesis from the market by a subsidiary of Johnson & Johnson. As someone with a severe back issue myself, I know what patients with orthopedic pain go through. The sharp pain, the inability to resume normal life, and the blind trust in doctors to make life better are familiar experiences. KAUNAIN's book takes us through the investigation that revealed how these faulty products led to countless miseries. With a global reversion rate of about 12 to 13%, the hip prosthesis would relegate patients to a lifetime of pain and the contamination of harmful substances like chromium and broken parts of the replacement in the bloodstream. KAUNAIN paints a disturbing picture of how Johnson & Johnson operated in India. From the sale of faulty hip implants, which left hundreds in agony, to bureaucratic inertia and corporate opacity that frustrated justice and accountability. The book is not just a chronicle of corporate misdeeds. The book provides us with a carefully documented account of institutional failure. Crucially, the book speaks of the resilience of those who fought back, individuals like Mr. Vijay Ojala, Mr. Mahesh Zagade and Ms. Malini Aisola, truly our society lives with the hope and the commitment of those people, and many of you who are here who experienced pain firsthand. KAUNAIN does not settle for spectacle. He provides nuance. He recognizes the complex position of pharmaceutical and medical device companies in public life in India as well. Many of these companies provide innovation, life-saving products, and employment. But he also reminds us that when such corporations are governed by profit without ethics, they can become extractive, turning human suffering into market opportunity and illness into data points on a balance sheet. Nowhere is this clearer than in the trust placed by desperate patients in doctors, hospitals, and the medicines which they are prescribed. That trust is sacred. It is built on the belief that the system of science, of regulation, of healing is designed for our care, not for our exploitation. But what happens when that trust is eroded? When a medical device causes more harm than healing? When patients are not informed of known risks? When regulators are silent or complicit? We enter the moral vacuum that KAUNAIN Sharif exposes, a space where informed consent becomes a formality, a space where the poor, especially in countries like ours, become test subjects. This book is not just about one company. It is about the broader dangers of corporatization without conscience. The book is a reminder about what happens when multinational giants enter markets with weak enforcement and vast inequality and exploit the gap instead of elevating standards. The book is about how medical ethics can be eroded by commercial incentives and how your and my body can become collateral in someone else's financial bottom line. But there is hope in this story. In India, the recent adoption of the Uniform Code for Pharmaceutical Marketing Practices, the UCPMP in 2024, and its extension to medical devices sectors is a critical step forward. The UCPMP is designed to curb unethical marketing tactics such as gifting, sponsoring vacations, or offering cash incentives to doctors in exchange for promoting particular products, a free trip to Goa or to Monte Carlo, a free iPad, and what you have not. Under the new code, companies must maintain transparency in their dealings with healthcare professionals. Any violation, even in spirit, can invite sanctions. If implemented rigorously and monitored with independence, this code can serve as a firewall and restore public trust. This would protect the sanctity of the doctor-patient relationship. But ultimately, all good laws are as good as the institutions which enforce them, and the people behind the institutions who are supposed to take critical decisions. Therefore, regulation alone is not enough. We need a culture of accountability. We need a citizenry that asks questions, institutions that answer them, and journalists who are willing to expose what lies beneath glossy brochures and PR campaigns. India is not merely a consumer market of over 1.4 billion. It is a democracy where health ought not to be a commodity, but a right, where pain cannot be trivialized as just a cost of doing business, where corporations, no matter how powerful, must play by the rules, our rules. As we turn the pages of Johnson & Johnson files, let us also turn our attention to the systemic changes that we need and which the book leads us to. Mandatory disclosures of adverse events, greater representation of patient voices in the regulatory processes, legal remedies which are swift and fair, representative actions which do not depend on isolated acts of individual courage in taking up causes. And most importantly, a public discourse that does not flinch from asking hard questions of powerful actors. In that spirit, I want to congratulate KAUNAIN Sheriff not only for writing this book, but for bearing witness, for listening to those who are ignored, for following the paper trail when it was safer to just look away, particularly in the realm of what is digitally anonymous, for reminding us that journalism is not just a profession, but a public service. To the readers of this book, I offer a small caution. You will not come away comfortable after reading the book, but you will come away better informed, more engaged, and perhaps more committed to ensuring that the health of our people is never traded again for corporate gain. Let this book be a mirror. And I conclude by saying, let this book also be a map. Thank you and congratulations to KAUNAIN.